Hey, want to welcome you, Pastor Chris, and I'm here with the one, the only Pastor Todd.
Hello.
And we're going to dive into a marriage conversation over the course of these next times together. Specifically not going to use hot toddy.
Hey, if you've been joining us through the anchors, like here we go. We're just going to keep on.
We're going to divert from one of the anchors. We're going to lift anchor and sail into the sunset of marriage.
Don't lift your anchors, though. Keep them down.
No, we'll establish new anchors when we get to the marriage conversation. So there you go. Anchors is anchors. Marriage is new anchors.
Just moving on to another one.
I love it. And we're going to connect to some things. We're going to talk about emotional intimacy over the course of these next couple times.
Yep.
Obviously, we could probably just spend the rest of our days talking about emotional intimacy, which is so key. And everybody has a lot of opinions on the emotional state of the individuals, the emotional state of marriage, and how you bring that together to form something that is healthy and vibrant.
And I would say, like, in this conversation, I would encourage you, if you're like, oh, I'm not married, I'm out. Well, I'd stay in this because I think emotional intimacy is something you want to learn, whether it's friendships, family. Now, marriage, it's on another level, but I would say, on this, it can translate into other areas.
Well, as Rob Schneider would say, preparation, contemplation.
This is true.
Yes, and he would bring it.
So yes, if you're dating especially, or if you would like to get married someday, take some notes on this. But for those of you who are married, I think this conversation is very important because many of us, how are doing counseling.
Many of us, is there more people?
Yeah, I know. I said that. I was like,
it's you and I in the room right now.
Many of us right here, as I point to two people. But we are dealing with a lot of people who are struggling with, I think, this area of marriage. And so I think there's a lot of things that you can tackle in here, but I think starting off emotional intimacy, communication becomes a very important piece to going, looking at, is our communication healthy? Is it what it needs to be? All those kind of things. And there's a lot of different areas to kind of cover in regards to like, okay, well, how do you know? Yeah, no, absolutely. In that sense. And so
communication's vital. I mean, wow. I don't even know where to begin. Like I have won and lost battles of communication in my own mind. And just that battle of being able to communicate. Obviously, my wife is Rachel. You can pray for her. That would probably be a great idea. But learning to communicate when you're dating seemed like the easiest thing, right? Like Pastor David says it too. When you're dating, it should not be difficult because you are like riding the high and you're doing those things.
Well, usually that comes so easily when you're dating.
Oh, yeah.
If it's not, then I'd be like, well, you might need to.
Well, yeah, and I mean, obviously, I'm a
change that relationship.
Like, for me, it was always been easy to communicate.
Right.
I don't like silence, and Rachel is okay with silence. She is okay only saying what she needs to say, and so. So you already start out with two huge dynamics, and I mean, even take a step back into our counseling time of communication. You were modeled a form of communication or a lack of communication when it came to what you saw, and you learned it, whether you believe it or not. You learned your communication from how you grew up and what you think, and that carries in. And it's not just what you want for supper; it's how you communicate when you're hurt, when you're vulnerable, when you're struggling with something. And wow.
Yep. Preach there. Let's go.
Talk about opening up a can.
I tell people this when it comes to emotional intimacy. Here's what statements you want to hear from your spouse. You see me. You hear me. You value me. If emotional intimacy is going well, those three statements usually, like, yes, those are true. And so when it comes to the communication part of it, you've got to look at it as like, okay, is our communication helping someone feel like, hey, I'm hearing you, I'm seeing you, I value what you're, just who you are, and just also just our relationship. And so one of the things that I tell couples, especially when it comes to communication, is like, think of it in all of our relationships have this. There's a mechanical side to it, a rhythmic side to it, to where it's going, okay, how are you connecting in the day-to-day stuff? Now, some of that may include, hey, we got this tomorrow, we got these things going on, that kind of stuff. But there also needs to be some time where it's like, hey, how was your day?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like there's a pause in the day to kind of be like, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, and this is going to be weird. I think of the Berenstein Bears. There's a Berenstein Bears episode.
Now, if you thought that was going to be, referenced today.
Let's throw a curveball into this sucker.
There we go.
No, but like where they wipe the schedule clean because they all have what they want to do. Okay, what can they do?
Yep.
Like, so all of us have an emotional weight to try to establish everything we want to do, but emotionally we can't handle everything that comes our way. And so we have to be able to communicate those needs and those wants. Yep. And man, if you check those lists off, but then that goes into what you were talking about. Just secondly,
so that you got the mechanical side, but within that, I'd go, there's going to come times in your marriage where that question, hey, how was your day, just doesn't cut it anymore.
Yep.
So, because they'll go, fine. And you'll know, well, that's not the answer.
I don't think you're telling me the truth right now.
Fine is always a dangerous word when you've been married for a long time.
Yeah.
And even short time sometimes. But then you've got to go, okay, I can get upset at my spouse.
Yeah.
Or, and this would be something you always continue to work on in this mechanical side, am I asking better questions?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I encourage couples to do, and I've started doing this even at my home, but I started doing it like as a family, is going, hey, what was the best part of your day? What was the worst part of your day?
Yep.
Like that is questions now that starts to create better intimacy in the sense of better connection, in that sense. And so that's where you've got to look at, and when I say the mechanical side, like this is like, hey, when you have full day at work, is it when you get home? Is it in the morning?
Yeah.
Is it, when do you as a couple connect? And you're going to have to fight for this time because kids are going to demand that time. Other people are going to demand your time. Your bosses sometimes, depending on where you work, demand that time. But you got to go, no, this is our time. And I would also add, do not give like the leftovers conversation. Like you've talked all day and then you get home and now your spouse gets...
It's kind of like that conversation. Like the numbers used to get thrown around. Like guys have 10,000 words a day. Women have 30,000 words a day. And whatever the case is.
Save some words for your spouse.
And I'm not good at I don't know. I think I can be good at the mechanical side, but I'm not always good at the mechanical side because I'm the emotional, the feeler, right? Like, so I'm like putting my hands on her hips and be like, hey, baby, did you think of me today? And that's not the mechanical side. Right. She's like, no, I didn't think of you at all today. And I could really get hurt, be like, well, I thought of you like 8,000 times today. And she'd be like, well, you must be exhausted. So no. But awesome. It's true though, right?
It
like
is.
This idea of like the mechanical is important because one or both of you operate in that realm.
And that's the part. Is like the other side of it is the mysterious side.
Yeah.
And so, and this comes into, you got to go on dates, you got to go vacations, the things that you normally wouldn't do. And I know you lean a little bit more towards, hey, like let's make sure those things are in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, like he loves to travel, loves to go, like, hey, let's go have experiences. And those are needed. Like as a family, you need to go on vacations. Friends, like any kind of relationship, you're going to have the mechanical, the day-to-day connections, but then you got to have something that comes outside of that, that's unique. And catch this, God set this up too.
Yeah.
We have the mechanical with him, our devotions, all that kind of stuff. And then Sunday is kind of that like, hey, we get to be with the church. Yeah. We don't know how this is going to go. But it's unique in that. And then there's other times where we go to conferences, we go to retreats. Yeah. That's what it's for, is to create a relationship that has these dynamics to where now this intimacy, especially the emotional side, kind of gets some steroids on it. It's like, boom, like we need this. Yeah. And it's going to be, hey, we're going to take this trip, and it's 24/7 in that sense. And so I think those are vital. But I guarantee you, like as Chris is pointing out, like one of you is probably going to be more towards the mechanical side. It's like, hey, well, we talked, we're fine. And someone's going to be like, can we for once just go on a date and not talk about the same things?
Or talk about kids.
Or talk about kids.
Schedule.
Or it's a different atmosphere. All these things matter. And so as a couple, you have to talk through these things and make sure like, hey, do you feel seen? Do you feel heard? Do you feel valued? And some of that plays into the conversation.
No, I agree.
Because I look at your marriage, I'm more rhythmic and to a fault. Tina sometimes has pushed me to go, you would do the same thing on our day off. You would do the same thing every day off. And I'd be like, yeah, because it's awesome. Like, I don't understand why we need to change it.
I don't know if you understand this, Tina, but I am awesome.
It really works well. But I'm realizing, like, if I don't, like, I'm controlling some of that. Yeah. And it's not letting her be in this relationship.
But that's the beauty of it, right? Like you said that. It works well for me, but if you're going to live in relationship,
it's not working well for us.
Yeah, it's not working well. And it can't just be about what works well for you. Like, granted, there need to be times and moments where you have this time you set aside. But, like I was going back to the conversation you said a little bit ago, like experiences. If I could get Rachel to skip class in college, I thought I won because hey, why don't you and I get in the car and go to Dairy Queen 50 miles away? And she'd be like, there's 18 places to get ice cream within 20 minutes. I'm like, but it's not Dairy Queen. Let's go. And it's about the experience, right?
The experience.
But so when you can mesh those ideas of experience and you can mesh those idea of necessary connections because of the way the brains work, because of the way God created my wife to think, or your wife and you to think, how do we get to the place where you can feel good about that? Because sometimes it's not about the experience. It's about preparing you for the next day, or preparing you for just feeling like you connected on an intellectual level, not just an experience level.
Yep. And you need both. And you've also got to learn, like, well, who did I marry?
Yeah.
Like, because I got to go, just because it works for you, you go, that does not necessarily play into conversations. And so I'd say study this. I think love languages are super helpful in this and how you talk about things. And I think I'll cover more of that probably even in our next episode, because I think it actually helps conflict a lot. But it also is going like, hey, if I'm going to make them feel like heard and all those things we want emotional intimacy to accomplish, well, do I even know the target I'm shooting for?
Yeah. Like, listen, I'm going to come back to what you're saying. Quit trying to fix and change your spouse to the way that works best for you.
Ooh.
Stop trying to do that. Like, because I'll be honest, I'll admit it. There are moments where I'm like, man, Rachel, I wish you would just do this. I wish you wanted to do this. She's like, you married me 20 years ago. What? You knew what you got. Like the person you're engaging with or engaged to or pursuing is who they are.
Yep.
They're not going to be magically exactly what you need them to be the moment you say yes.
Yeah, especially with things that we're not talking about sin here. We're not talking about...
It's their personality.
It's just
it
their
really is.
personality dynamics. I remember feeling that way with Tina. It's like, hey, this is like your day off. And I wanted her to go connect with people.
Yeah.
And I was like, go do something. Go hang out. Because for me, it's like, okay, if I've got free time, I don't need anybody to tell me what to go do. I'll go figure it out. Yeah. Like, I'll go call some people. We'll go to a movie. We'll go play basketball. Whatever. Like, we'll go do something.
Yep.
He was like, well, what am I going to do? And I'm like, I don't understand that question. And so it's different in that sense, and letting her grow in some of that. And it's not going to look like me, but I know when I was young, I thought, and you said it, like, you think your way's the best, but that's the only way you've known. So that's what marriage teaches you and I think ultimately, and we'll talk about this in spiritual, but like, God is teaching you how to unconditionally love another person he made that's nothing like you in some senses.
So I'll share this story. Like this, to me, it's funny. I even had this conversation with Rachel. I said, do you remember this moment in our relationship? And she's like, I don't remember that at all. So now this is funny. We actually have a note on her phone on things that she remembers. We're like, hey, we should write that down. Rachel remembered that. That's awesome. And the girls are all excited, like, Mom remembered. And like, she's not that bad, but it's a funny joke in our family. But when we were dating, we had been dating for 1.5 years, which is almost the longest I dated anyone.
Yep.
And I remember she called me, and I can still remember to this day where I was, what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And she said, if you can't stop being more selfish, we're done.
Wow.
Because I thought that if she was with me, she was having fun. And I knew her friends, and I was like, yeah, we're definitely going to have more fun than you would with them. And because I didn't understand, I wasn't emotionally healthy.
Right.
I was selfish.
Right.
And so I would say,
and you had good intentions. It's not like, but at the core of it, there's some unhealthiness.
There really was, because I was getting in my own way. I was just saying, listen, I think we should spend all our time together, forgetting that she had 18 years of doing life before she even gave me a look, which, man, it took a long time to get her to give me a look. But just this idea of, I really had to answer that question and look within myself. That was probably one of the most intriguing emotionally hinge points for me emotionally where I had to make a physical decision and a mental decision because it wrenched my gut knowing I could lose her if I wasn't willing to change.
Yep.
And so, man, that idea of emotional intimacy and engaging that in that context of dating is key, because you have to realize that if you're going to take a next step in a relationship, or you're going to take the next step in your marriage, you have to look within yourself and be able to ask the hard questions or answer the hard questions.
And I think questions that you would be is like asking your spouse here is like, do they feel valued?
Yes.
Do they feel seen? Do they feel heard? That would tell you a lot about where your emotional intimacy is at, and letting them answer it honestly, and not correct them as they answer it, and not battle it, but just going, okay, let me take this in. It's not going to be great to hear, because like, if they're honest, there's probably some areas you're missing it. But to me, I have also, like, marriage, what I have learned and loved about it is that, yes, you get to do this with another person, but also like learning like what I think God created with this whole Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in perfect unity. And he's going, I want you to learn what that can look like even here on earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a beautiful gift, but some of it's got to start even just, well, how do we communicate with each other?
Well, I think that's true. I mean, you talk about value, seen, and heard, right?
Yeah.
Like, we all want that. We all want to be valued,
deep
seen,
down,
and heard. Yeah.
down
Let's take your spouse out of this.
Yes.
Like, at your job, you want to be valued, seen, and heard.
We all want some kind of emotional intimacy in that level.
In your friendship. Why not more so with your spouse outside of a relationship with God? Because God values you, He loves you, He sees you, and He wants to hear from you. The same has to be translated if we're going to follow what God says. Love your wives as you love yourselves, and honor and submit to one another. This idea of being valued, seen, and heard is a great check mark. Like, okay, hey, do you feel valued?
Yeah.
Why? How? And you talked about it. We'll dive into it with the love languages, unless you want to dive in now. But like, just that idea.
Wait for it.
Yeah, just wait for it. Wait for
Next
it.
episode.
Wait for it. Keep it coming back.
Yes.
All right. No, but just it's, and then seen. Well, what are you doing that is not allowing that person to be seen?
Yeah.
Is there something in front of you that's distracting? What's the gold ring, or what's the shiny object that's drawing your attention away? Put the phone down. Stop what you're doing. Engage and heard. Okay. And there are some great tactics, right? Like, the one thing that always comes to my mind is an active listening. Okay. If you tell me like, hey, this is going on in my relationship, I was like, okay, an active listening engagement is, okay, what I hear you saying is that it? That way you can clarify, like, just this idea of communicating so clearly that there's no wiggle room, because that's where everything's lost in translation, right?
And I think you're bringing it up, and I think it's important to recognize, is like, what environment do you have in this area to where can you be assertive in your relationship?
Yeah.
And by assertive, I'm not saying be a jerk, because sometimes too often that's how I see couples navigate it. And I'm guilty of it. Like, you get angry and go, you know what, you always do this, or you never do this.
You could talk about that for all day long.
Don't
right?
say those words. Let's just start there. That's not being assertive. That's just blaming somebody.
Yeah.
Assertive is being able to have the conversation. Man, I am feeling this in our relationship, and I'm struggling with it. And it's you see what I'm saying? It's a lot of I statements, not you do this, you do that. And I have couples do this exercise where it's go, hey, I want you to make a wish list, 3 things that you would like more or less of in the relationship. And I go, I want you to practice this assertive statement. Because if you're not willing to be assertive, it tells either you don't trust the person to handle the information, or you are too scared of what might happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Or
that's a combination, maybe both of those together. But
you've never seen it operated in a healthy perspective,
didn't see it in your
either,
family,
right? Like,
or anything.
And that's just it. Unless you're willing to be intentional and change, that's the hardest part about self-discovery, discovering what you lack or where you lack in this idea of communication. Like, if your mom and dad, when they fought, they never hashed it out, or one ran, or one got quiet. And, you could talk about, time bombs and freight trains and all that stuff.
That's good. Yep.
And, I know you use a different analogy, but just that idea of like, listen, I'll say this, when it comes to emotional, health and emotional intimacy, your willingness to change, to grow in that relationship is one of the most key impactors for how your relationship will go, and will show your spouse or your significant other that you truly value them.
It builds trust.
It does build trust, because they know what they saw with your mom and dad. Yep. And you brought that in, like we said. And if you're willing to change and discover that, okay, I can't do what I saw, I've got to do what works best for my relationship.
Yep.
Man, if we can get out of the way of that, not that, man, no mom and dad does it perfect, right?
Nope.
Like,
and don't blame your parents for all this stuff either. Like at some point you got to be like, no, this is our marriage. We've got to figure it out. And I say with the active listening piece, I go, if you want to simplify it, go, what is the content? What's the emotion? Dangerous words. I understand.
Yeah.
Or let's get to fixing it real quick.
Yeah.
Those things are needed, but you first got to go, do I understand what they are saying? And not just think you do, because I think there's almost a part of your brain you got to turn off, because it's hard to hear somebody be assertive and give you feedback, give you criticism.
Oh, yeah.
That was one thing I had to learn with Tina. Is like, I did not do well with that. I had my own baggage with some of that. It's like, I didn't want to hear someone tell me I was failing at something, especially my spouse.
Yeah.
And so that I got defensive so quickly, instead of letting it, no, what is she saying?
Yeah.
What is she saying? Instead of trying to say, "Oh, I think you're wrong in this," or or blame shift or whatever. And so that's where I was like, no, you've got to go, okay, I almost think counselor. So what I hear you saying is this, and make sure you're on the same page before you dive into conflict resolution.
Well, and that's just it. Like, and it took a long time for me to like hear what other people were saying in this. Like, you're going the same direction. Like, if you've been married for a long time, like, okay, we're going the same direction. So obviously they want me to succeed. This isn't about them pointing something out and me failing and then being able to go,
gonna hold it against you.
You blew it. But also to have the idea that they want the best for me. Yeah. And give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
So if for your example, if Tina's bringing something up, you're not going, oh, she wants the upper hand, or she wants it. No, she wants what's best for you, and she's giving you the benefit of the doubt that this is not the way that it's supposed to be.
Believe the best in someone, especially your spouse.
And that, man, I tell you what, when you believe, because we're not taught to believe the best, right? We're taught to question, and maybe you grew up in that, but if you can believe the best on someone, you can begin to really flip the switch.
Yep.
On this idea of like, man, we're going the same direction. She's making me better. I'm making him better. And if we're willing, and now granted, you can't sit down and like throw out 50 things you better change her now. Start somewhere though.
Yep.
Like your suggestion of, okay, what are 3 things?
Things.
If you can't come up with 3, come up with 2. But what are those 2 or 3 things that you would really like to see more or less of?
Yep.
And I tell you what, I've done that exercise, and I'd like less of you questioning why I'm doing something, or I would like more just quick random, trips to the store.
Yep.
Like what? That's it?
Yep.
You'll be surprised.
All right. And usually what I've seen this exercise, what it is like the couple has different targets, but it's similar things. Well, I would like to have more time with you, but it's like they both say, I'd like to have more time with you.
Yeah.
But that time looks different.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's why I was like, be careful about, oh yeah, I agree with you, but you're thinking about it from your lens. So make sure you go, okay, so what I hear you saying is this, and then ask questions. And if we were going, okay, and what does it make you feel like when it doesn't happen now? Yeah. What would it make you feel if it were to change? Like, learn to have these awkward conversations that will eventually hopefully become normal in your marriage. Yep. But initially they are going to be awkward, because when you're in honeymoon phase, it feels like nothing can go wrong. But it's going to.
It's so true.
It's going
so true,
to,
man. Yeah.
And then when it does, and you're in your honeymoon phase, you're like, oh, it's awkward. I don't like this. This used to be so much easier. Because what I see is then people don't deal with it, and then they have kids, and then they wait till their kids are out of the house, and now we're so delayed in developing this emotional intimacy that they're going, I think it'd just be better just to go our separate ways.
And the answer to that question is no. Let's work this out.
But here's what you're missing out on, because you're like, well, I don't. I go, you're missing out on actually you maturing and understanding what it takes to love someone unconditionally. Yep. And I go, that is so powerful. And if you keep running from that, I think it's what you said. At the core of it, you're just being selfish.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like there could be a lot of things going on in the relationship that are undealt with, that kind of stuff. But it goes both ways here.
It does.
And some of that.
And it goes both ways. And here in the next part, we're just going to dive into what those ways look like and really kind of honing in some things that we think could be beneficial for you.
Yep. And that's what I just want to be able to give you guys some, like, learn to connect, learn to communicate, so that way you can have some emotional intimacy. And one of the other pieces of that, give a daily compliment in a mechanical side of things. Be encouraging to each other. Because one of the beautiful pictures I see with marriage, especially when it comes to emotional intimacy, you're both running towards Jesus. Yeah. But man, it is so awesome to look to your left or right and be able to go, there they are, and going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Or, hey, if you tweak this, I think you could run better. Or if you do this, I think get rid of that baggage. I mean, to have somebody that's running with you and to go home and be able to navigate life in that sense, it's powerful. And so it's an incredible gift that God's given us in that. And I want couples to be able to experience it. Yeah.
Well, so for this, like, as we close, and thanks for hanging out with us, man, keep going. And if something has been helpful for this, just begin today. Begin today, start somewhere. And I believe that you'll see some really positive change as you dive into this relationship or prepare to have those conversations, whether you're dating or thinking about dating. It all comes together because it makes you a better you.
And if emotional intimacy is a struggle right now, please start seeking, and you guys maybe can't solve it on your own, seek help.
Yep.
Like, don't fight the stigma that is there. That's like, oh, okay, we'll just figure it out. No, seek help, because every couple needs it. There's just seasons of life to where it's like, man, those who've gotten help look back and we should have done it earlier. No one's ever gone like, you know what, we should have waited on that. No one ever says that. So,
all right. Well, we'll see you next time. Have a great one.
See ya.